What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Calamity of the Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Scorpio, my co-host, Deception. Deception, say hi.
What up?
This is episode number 159
Yep.
of the Calamity of the Podcast. Today we'll be talking about,
159.
we'll be talking about the CDL Minor 1, along with some other things happening in the space right now. So let's go ahead and just get right into it today.
For some reason, Optic has this just period where they just fall off.
Moving on. We had Heretics versus what am I saying, bro? I think I need some more caffeine or something. We had G2 versus Cloud9, another 3-0. I think there's a way to do it. I just don't know what the way to do it is. CDL minor one, not major. I said major, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant minor. Let's just do what we always do and scroll through CDL until all reliable, you know. So take a look here at the bracket in a second. I'm just gonna find it real quick, because I have to scroll through like 3 days worth of posts. Let's get into it. Here we are. Minor 1 was this past weekend. Looking at the starting bracket, we talked about this a little bit last week. We'll see how right we were. Obviously, we were wrong in who was gonna win, but
I mean, I thought that I honestly, like, of all the events, especially with this one being online, I thought it would just be like just the conventional event. Like it would just be like top four like breeze their way into semifinals, and then I mean I felt like it probably would have been a toss up between any of the top four. I think any of the top four could have won it. I really thought that Optic was gonna have the edge because it seemed like they definitely had been playing better, but like lately lately it seems like every time we get toward like the middle of a major split, they just like for some reason Optic has this just period where they just fall off. And we weren't technically in the middle of a major split, but we had so many matches the first weekend before this event that it kind of felt like we were in the middle of a major split. And yeah, it went. I mean, it went for Optic about the way it's went the last couple of major splits. But yeah, I mean probably the biggest shock probably out of all of this was not even like I wouldn't say there were any real shocks out of um the initial play in for the bracket, because I mean the bottom 8 teams, like I would say outside of like maybe Cloud9 at this point is like the only team that I would have been like utterly shocked if they would have beaten G2. Um, because even Surge has, with them picking up Nero, have like started to improve a little bit. So I wouldn't have been that surprised if they beat Falcons. Sadly, they did not. We did not get a Surge phase bracket round 1 matchup, but definitely of the shocker of the first group of matches was the fact that Gentlemates lost to Heretics. Like I said, I thought for sure it would just be a breeze, and that the top 4 teams would just steamroll their way into semifinals. But yeah, Heretics beat Gentlemates. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Heretics have kind of been that team that like they have it. You know what I mean? They have what it takes. They just never been
They're
able
just
to make
like
it happen.
they're just not quite consistent enough. Like, and I've said it so many times, and it's basically been the case the entire time they've been the Miami Heretics, like since MW3. This team just has they are probably the highest potential team of like, oh, if this team's on it, they can beat anybody. Like, and they literally showed it at this event. Like, I've said it before. Like, I've said it since the beginning. Like the first time they kind of showed it in MW3, I was like, I feel like if this team was on it, they could win an event, and that very nearly happened.
So let's go ahead and go through and kind of talk a little bit about like the matches from this weekend. I mean, spoiler alert, LA Thieves won. Which I'm honestly really, I'm glad that they did win. Honestly, in a
Yeah, that's
way,
gotta feel good.
the team has been struggling a lot. But also I'm not glad as they win because I'm still kind of pissed at the organization as a whole. But that's my personal opinion. This is my analytical opinion. I think it's good. It's good to see them finally win because they do have the team to win. They have a winning team and they just have not been able to put it together. So it's good to see them actually finally put the pieces together to make something happen this weekend. So
Yeah,
kudos to
I
them.
would say going into this event, they were probably, if I were to give you like where I thought the top four would place, I would have told you that these were probably going to be fourth. I would have been like, they're probably the least likely of the top four
Yeah,
to win this event.
agreed. Agreed. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we had Surge versus Van. No, Surge
Surge
versus
Falcons and
Falcons.
Surge nearly gave up that hard point was kind of insane. Surge nearly gave up like the comeback of the century.
Yeah, I mean,
That could have been that right there would have been worse than that would have been worse than what Paris Legion did in MW2 when they came back from being nearly a 100-point club and won it. That would have been worse. I mean,
yeah.
because like Falcons like Falcons looked really good here. I honestly like when we talked about like where we thought that this minor event was gonna go, I picked Surge to beat them just because I wanted to see if Surge could take down FaZe.
Hmm.
Um, in my head, I was like, Falcons are probably gonna win it though, and they did. Um, I can't really say that this was like a good sign for Falcons though. Like they definitely looked good, but like I can't say that this was a great sign for them to beat the second worst team in the league. Falcons have looked very rocky for the past like well really all through major two qualifiers and the event. Um, so uh, this I mean obviously this is good that they won one, but the problem is they had to play FaZe after this. So um, I don't know if this is the biggest win for the Falcons, but they did pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, Pred, standing out here with with 11,000 damage and 2.25 KD and Search and Destroy. Like that's pretty impressive coming
11K
from him.
damage in only a 4-game series is
That's
pretty
yeah.
impressive.
So kudos, good job
Because
him.
you usually don't usually see people break into the 10, 11, 12K damage like if it goes game 5 and they pop off. Him
Yeah,
doing it in 4 games is kind of nice for him.
yeah. Um, then we had Breach versus Heretics. Heretics starting their weekend off
I
strong
mean
with a
that
3-0.
was no shock. I
Yeah,
could have told you that was gonna happen.
yeah. I think we
I
did say that was gonna
definitely
happen.
like honestly like now obviously like they Heretics did well at this event, but even before this, if I were to tell you who I thought like the best out of the top four, out of the bottom eight, like who could be knocking on the door to like the top four, it'd be like I would have said like Heretics or Ultra, but like I would have leaned toward Heretics because they've been looking really good, and it did not surprise me that they just handed Breach the sweep because especially after Breach made that roster change, like they're still kind of ironing things out a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but Heretics were just they were. This was
Lights out.
this is the start of a nice event for them.
100%. 100%. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. We had Heretics versus no, not what am I saying, bro? I think I need some more caffeine or something. We had G2
G2
versus
versus
Cloud9,
Cloud9.
another 3-0.
This was the least surprising
Yeah, I mean,
matchup of the entire event.
I think the thing
If
with like
there was
Cloud
going
Nine,
to be a 3-0 in the entire event, this would have been it.
yeah. Well, the thing I think with like Cloud9 is like they had one good match after they made a roster
They had one
change.
good weekend. Like that very first weekend after the roster change, it was like, wait, Cloud9 might be back, and now
And
they've just
then
been utterly terrible
they
since
just
then.
lost it. We had hope in them as like a society and as a fan base. We're like, oh, maybe Cloud9 can make a comeback. And mind you, I'm from New York. Like I want to root for Cloud9. Like I want to just rooting for your home team. I can't, guys. You're playing like all the other New York teams. Pathetic. Minus the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres going to the play. They're in the playoffs right now. They're doing really, really well. Anyway, they seem like a lost cause at this point, and they seem like they're just holding space, in the league, and I don't know what needs to be done in order to make a change to get them to be at least somewhat competitive, because this is getting a little much. It's getting a little much. I
I
mean,
was about to like, I was about to question you and be like, why are you just saying the Sabres when the Knicks are the 2 seed in the NBA playoffs, but the Hawks are giving them a run for the money?
yeah, no, the
So,
Sabres are doing really, really well right now. Um, it's yeah. I mean the Knicks are doing really good too, which is really, really great. Um,
shocking
I know.
considering the
I
Knicks
mean the
were
Knicks need to
Knicks
win.
up until the last like 2 or 3 years. The Knicks have been pretty bad for the last like 20
Yeah.
before that.
I mean, but the thing is like the Knicks have like one of the best, like the New York teams have like some of like the best fan bases ever. Like the Buffalo Bills are freaking diehards. No matter how many times we lose, we're
Yeah,
still out there in the fucking
it's
snow
true.
at these games, like literally shoveling snow off of our seats. Type.
Well, I'm sure people are the same way about Cloud9, despite them
Yeah.
struggling. But
I don't
I
know.
hate to say it, but I feel like it was, I feel like it was a bad decision going away from the subliners, because you just had like the year that you finally broke through and won champs, and then you
Yep.
had a year where you only lost to Optic. You finished second at champs,
Mhm.
and like you switched to Cloud9, and it's just been all downhill from there. Like
Yeah.
nothing
I
really
mean,
great has happened.
I don't know if it's a management issue, a funding issue, or what, but it's definitely something that they have to address, because I mean, Cloud9's one of those established organizations to where like you would think that they would be able to have the funds to invest in this, to
Dude,
invest in
that's the other thing
players.
too. Is like Cloud9 is barely paying people. Like Cloud9 is one of the biggest organizations in all of esports, and they are basically paying minimum salary for everybody. I mean, even before the changes, like even the one like veteran on the team was the only guy getting paid over minimum salary, and I can tell you, like, I don't actually know because I haven't seen like what they're being paid, but I can almost guarantee you, since now they basically have a full challengers team, all those guys are getting paid minimum. There's no way they're getting paid more than minimum.
Oh yeah, no way, no way, no shot. But alas,
Which I mean,
maybe.
personally, if it was me and I was getting paid $60,000 to play in the CDL,
Listen,
I
if
would
I'm getting
gladly
paid
take it.
bare
But
minimum, I'm giving bare minimum. Okay, that is my philosophy. If I'm getting paid bare minimum, I am doing bare minimum. But that's just
well, and I feel
because,
like that's what's happening with these teams. I mean, we talked about it before. Like, there's a pretty good correlation between like how well the teams are playing and what they're getting paid.
yeah. I mean, also there's like the factor of like, oh, do these players deserve it? It's like it's one of those like things that are just really hard to really decide and to feel out. But also at the same time too, like you gotta think like a lot of these guys are rookies, like you have to earn, that benchmark. But at the same time, you've got people like Mercules, which is just getting paid like he's got one championship under his belt
Yeah,
and
you
he's
can't
making
compare him
money.
to Mercules. Mercules is an outlier, bro. That guy is insane. Like
Yeah.
that guy, like Mercules in the CDL is like Wimby right now. Like
Yeah.
he's an anomaly. There's been nobody like him for a hot minute. Like Wemby is probably the first guy that's been closely compared to LeBron in the NBA in the last 20 years. Since
Mhm.
LeBron he's like the only guy that's kind of lived up to the expectations since LeBron. Yeah, Mercules is like the only guy who's truly lived up to the expectations since Scump. Like he's unbelievable. Like I don't really think I think there's really been nobody that has come into the CDL immediately like that and been super successful. Um, like the only other guy you could probably say is like Simp, but like Simp had a little bit more of a rocky start to his career than
Yeah.
Mercules. Mercules has just come in here and just been winning. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Which is good. Which is good. I mean, good for the kid. You know, he's really killing it. Um, but moving forward, looking at the next the last of day one, we had Koi versus Ravens. Koi winning 3-0. I think we kind of saw this one coming
yeah,
too. I mean, we try to give Ravens
Koi
benefit of the
3
doubt,
didn't
but
really surprise me.
yeah, I mean, we try to give like Ravens benefit of the doubt. We try to like, you know, yeah, we've been it's been a constant. You know, we try to give them the underdog story, but they really can never. They've only done it
I think
once.
after, especially after Major 2, but like now, like after Minor 1 and seeing their performance, I can't help it. I gotta switch. We gotta switch the Ravens. We gotta switch our underdog support from the Ravens to the Heretics. I think
Yeah,
it's
I think
time.
so too. For the time
The
being,
Heretics deserve it,
we'll
bro.
we'll reset after this season, but I agree. I think just yeah, it's just not looking too good. And Heretics, like they're proving that they have the ability to be that underdog in these situations and really come through. So I mean, yeah, Ravens. Sorry guys, we're gonna have to change up a little bit. Maybe next season, depending on your roster, we can bring back our formal arrangement. If you want to compensate us for our support, uh, we can change back. I can be bought.
I,
Thank you.
my underdog team now is the Heretics, bro. Like
Yeah, yeah, me too. I think they really just like came out at this event and really showed up, which I think they really needed to
this
do
was like,
to prove
I mean, they've
their
shown it before, but this was the first time. Like, this is the closest they've ever got to winning an event, and this was the first time when I was like, man, Heretics really could do this.
yeah, yeah. So underdogs going to heretics, but like I said, I can be bought. Thank you. Moving on, we have day two. We had heretics versus gentlemates. And like Deception said at the beginning,
This
like
was
this
probably the
was
most
the
shocking like
this
event. This was probably the most shocking game of the series of the event,
yeah.
maybe. Um, Especially of the first couple rounds because I mean, obviously, like I said, I mean,
The
it doesn't really
first
matter. I in my opinion, it didn't really matter who got into the first round. They were just going to get steamrolled by the top four teams. Like
mhm.
that was my thought process. And heretics. They were just like, hold on, let me cook real quick, and they beat Gentlemates. That was especially considering Gentlemates had a really good weekend. To start. I really thought that Gentlemates had kind of like. I mean, obviously, I still think that they probably gotten past the woes of Major Two, but like I really thought that they would put a stamp on it and at least get to grand finals.
Yeah.
But Heretics were in their way, and like I said, the Heretics I think are the top team that are knocking on the doorstep of the top four, and um, of any of the matchups that I thought that could be won by an underdog team, aside from me silently hoping that Surge beat FaZe, the one that I really thought would happen is Heretics beating Gentlemates, and it happened.
Yeah. I think that was I mean that was actually I think the first match that we got wrong in our predictions. Was this one.
Yeah, because I thought the top four would just go right through.
Yeah.
So
Well, good on them, good on them. Wow. Of course. Of course, of course, of course. Hold on. Then we had Falcons versus FaZe. FaZe took the dub on this one 3-1. Not shocked. I do like
he's
again.
looking good in those gold
Yeah, I
jerseys.
like.
I
I was
like
just
it.
about to say I do like the gold better than the other colors so far. It's a
Dude, just
good.
they should just switch to like gold and red.
Yep, gold, red, and
Because the
black.
red is great. Like when the red is awesome. When they've rocked like black and red, it's been awesome. The
Yep.
gold is awesome. But like
The
You need to
pink
get the
is just
pink out of
ain't
here, dude.
it, bro. Pink is just ain't it. And then we had, standout player this one, 10k damage, 3.0 KD in search and destroy, which is really, really, really beautiful. Um, just insane. So good start for them here today. Then we had Koi versus Optic. Not shocked with the results of this. Mercules kind of looks like he's trying to
Yeah.
poop his pants in that picture, but
Koi had a really hard time in this
mhm.
in this series. It felt like it felt like in respawn, like Mercules was just everywhere. Like you can see it. He had a 1.61 in hardpoint. Like they it's funny. Um, I don't know if you've seen the clip or not. I might try to find the clip while we're talking about this, but uh, Optic 100 point clubbed Koi in the first hard point. It was pretty brutal.
Yes, I
Um,
did. You sent me the song that they played when it happened on TikTok.
yes, that was so funny. They played that and it was hilarious,
That
dude.
was hilarious. That was so funny. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
they really like when this matchup happened. I granted it was Koi, like it wasn't top 14, but like seeing Mercules be that on it, I was like, there's no way they don't win this event. Like anytime Mercules has been playing, like he's already like one of, if not the best player in the league, but like when he's on another level and he's dropping like 1.5 plus in hardpoint, I'm like, dude, there's no way they lose an event.
yeah, it's actually crazy. So there's that. Then we move to round two. Well, to finish the quarterfinals, we have Thieves versus G2. Thieves win 3-0. Very dominant. Scrap standing out here in this first one. Um, had a 1.2 overall series KD. 1.24, sorry.
He
Um,
still had almost 8.5k damage in 3 games,
yeah,
which
which
is
is
really good.
that is great work by these guys. They're really putting up the numbers. Then we move into the semifinals. Uh, we had FaZe versus Heretics, which was shocking for me because this is kind of like another one of those matches where you're like, oh my god, Heretics, they're kind of cooking right now. Another
Heretics 3 0'd them,
3-0.
which was shocking. Like, when I saw them go up 2-0, I was like, all right, phase reverse sweep incoming. Here we go. Just had to let them warm up real quick. I was thinking it's at least going game 5. Like, I still thought maybe Heretics could pull it out, but like, I was like, it's going game 5. Like, it has to. And then
It did not.
Heretics pulled off a crazy overload to beat them. And,
It just shut them down.
it was crazy,
They
dude.
just shut
Like
them down.
the overload was really fun to watch, because they ended up going to overtime, and it was so close. Like you can see it right now. This is the second round of overtime. They actually the Heretics did not like nobody scored in the first round of overtime, so it basically like we had never seen this happen. So nobody scored in the first round of overtime. So what happened is it was just down to like whoever scored in the second round of overtime. It was just if somebody scores, they win. Like and Heretics got it. It was actually that overload was awesome. Like that overload was probably granted like nobody scored in the first round of overtime. That's like extremely rare, but like this overload was the first like real example of like how awesome the new overtime rules are in overload because it was great.
Agreed. Agreed.
But yeah,
Um,
I mean, Heretics getting that 3-0 after that crazy overload, that was insane.
I think we had probably our most competitive match of the day, of the weekend. FaZe versus
Yeah, this was
like
like
not
this
FaZe.
was like the
LA Thieves
only game
versus
5.
Optic Texas. Yeah, only game 5 of the weekend. And honestly, I kind of saw this. I kind of saw this one going game 5. I just was hoping Optic can kind of like edge them out a little bit, but
Yeah,
Thieves just had
it
the better
was
S and
tough.
D. I mean, BZ was going kind of insane on the S and D with a 2.0 KD. Hit 12,000 damage. I think they kind of won it in the S and Ds, to be honest.
Yeah, they definitely like that's the thing about Optic is like I don't think they're necessarily bad at S&D, but this Optic team right now seems to be a lot like when the face team was dominant in like Cold War and Vanguard. It was like if you're gonna beat them, you probably have to beat them in S&D
Yeah.
because their respawn is super good and they very rarely lose. The only mode that like Optic is kind of vulnerable in is right now at least is hardpoint. Um, they if they're all on it, they will dominate you in hardpoint. Like they could point club anybody in hardpoint. But
Mhm.
sometimes they like if especially if they like start slow or if they get to the middle of the if they get to the middle of a hard point and they're not doing quite well, they're probably gonna lose. But Optic is really good at respawn overall still, especially overload. But it's just tough. It's tough when you're not like your one big struggle point is S&D because that's game 5 of every series.
Yeah.
So, um I don't know. I mean, Optic I don't know if I would like we can talk about it more as far as like what we feel like happened, like a recap of like how we're feeling after this event, but I don't know if I'd be all that worried.
Agreed. I think anything it just like proves that there's another contender that's added to the pot of like the top team in the league. Um, with the way that Heretics played this weekend, I think they really just solidified themselves as one of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
contenders. I
this
think that's the main
honestly,
takeaway from
this was
this.
like no matter how this grand final went, like whether they won or lost, this is huge for Heretics. Like
Yeah.
for them to like beat, for them to beat two of the top four teams and surprisingly only lose to probably the worst of the top four teams that it was just hot this weekend for some reason is really good. Um, it's kind of one of those things where like if you're a team that gets so close, like examples would be like there are a lot of NBA teams that like people still consider really good even if they don't win the championship, but like
Mhm.
it's usually because they lost to a team that wins the championship. Like so, like if Heretics only lost to Thieves, who ended up winning the event, it's like you beat two of the top four teams to get here. Like
Yeah.
you're definitely capable of doing it. And I think that's going to help them going into Major 3. I think that's going to be very good for them, and I would not be surprised if I would not be surprised if they have some matchups in the qualifiers where they pull off some more stuff like this, especially against the top four teams, because they're definitely feeling good after this event. Um, the only other like things I would say is like I definitely don't think I'd worry that much if I'm like Optic or Gentlemates. Especially I mean Phase like I don't know. I wouldn't worry all that much if I'm Phase, but like Phase got to find some way to get like to get past the semifinals because they're I'm pretty sure that like dude Phase almost has as much of a chance at losing in the semifinals as winning, like which is not great if you're that volatile of a team. But like as far as like Optic and Gentlemates go, like I think they're just looking at champs to be honest. Like because especially the Optic guys have said it before. They have said that they don't really worry about winning majors. They just want to win champs. Like
Mhm.
if they win majors, that's awesome, but they want
Yeah,
to win
I mean
champs.
that's kind of like the thing though. It's like that's what that's the big prize. That's the big win, and you take that home, and that's really the proof that you had what it takes, and that you could
Well,
get
and
it
that's
in the
kind of
long
like
run.
they kind of explained that when they were talking like on the process about their season last season and how like terrible it was before they got Mercules is it was
Yeah.
just like winning champs just didn't like uh it didn't like erase everything that happened in the season. Like obviously like you still look at that and you're like I hope that never happens again, but winning champs made it all feel like it was worth it. And like that's what I feel like a lot of these teams are thinking about now. It's just like if we can get to champs and win it, like I whatever happens the rest of the season, it's like okay, just focus on champs. Um, and I definitely think teams like Optic are doing that.
Mhm.
That's why you don't. And I think that having that different mindset is probably why you're not seeing teams like Optic, Phase, Gentlemates making changes is because they're just focused on champs and they
Yep.
know that they have good players on their roster and their roster works great together. So they're basically just focused on let's get more reps, let's iron out all these kinks in our game,
Mhm.
and let's go to champs and try to win.
Cause like at the end of the day,
And
like as
if
much,
we win majors and we win events along the way, that's great.
yeah. I mean, the thing is for them though, I think that the main aspect that I think a lot of them try to keep in mind, even though they do want to win, you learn the most from losing. Like I think Dash, he kind of said in one of the processes as well. It's like yeah, they were winning a lot, but like you learn the
Oh
most
yeah,
when you lose. Like you learn all those
yeah.
different little weaknesses that you have in your game, and just like bad choices that you shouldn't have made. And honestly, if you make a decision that costs you a game, you're not gonna make that bad decision again because you learn from that. You learn that you're not gonna make that again. You learn that that's not the best decision to make in that scenario. And that's what it comes down to for these guys at the end of the day. It's not their skill, it's not their game, it's not their whatever. It's their decision making in game and choosing to go left instead of right and choosing
Yeah.
to look around a corner at the right time. Like
That's the thing
that's
about
what it comes
COD
down
and like
to.
esports in general is like there are a lot of times, especially when you're looking at like the top teams and like when two equal teams are playing each other in esports, where a lot of times it's less about skill and more about decision making and critical thinking and like making a good play here or there.
Mhm.
Like it's less about oh this one guy on this team just dominated. Um, and it's more about like this team was more calculated. They made better decisions. They had a better strategy to win.
Yep.
And that's what's kind of fun about esports and especially COD. I feel like it applies to COD more than anything. It's like uh, the pros have said it before. Is it's like if you can shoot straight, that's good. That's good. It's good if you can shoot straight. But like if you don't have like the game sense and the decision making and like the understanding of and the foresight of what to do in certain situations, you're not gonna win. Because like I think that like the optic guys have said it before too. Is like they've said that it would be easier to teach a person that had game sense but wasn't good at couldn't shoot straight. It would be easier to teach them to shoot straight than to teach somebody that shoots really good and is and can get a lot of kills to learn better game sense.
Yeah. Cause that's at the end of the day, that's just common sense. That's like a life skill that you can't really like. At a certain point, you can't really train, or it takes a long time to develop that sort of skill to be able to trust your gut and make a right decision. Um, which I think a lot of these pros do have. Um,
Well, and it's like it that the whole concept of that too is like why you see so many pros that will go in a slump and all of a sudden just come out of it and dominate, or like you'll see these you'll see these times like at like Major One when Celium started that match like 0-10 or whatever
hmm
in hardpoint, and
yeah,
then he finished with like nearly a 1.5 KD because like just something he just reset or he switch flipped and it was like okay I'm back now. Um, that kind of like raw talent and like skill of like having the game sense, having the thought process of being like, okay, I just need to like reset real quick. Um, is what makes especially these pros on the top teams the best. And there are so many pros like that too, where it's like they could start out really bad. They could go double, triple negative, but if they get like one two piece or make one really good play, then they're back.
hmm agreed. So I mean, at the end of the day, like congrats to LA Thieves. Like you guys deserve that win. Like you have a great team. Y'all been putting in the work all season, so um, y'all deserve that win. But um, we'll see how the rest of the stage go. With everything
Yeah,
until the next
we
major.
have to remember this is only a minor event. This is only online.
Yep.
It's a single elimination. This is very different than how the major's actually going to go. I mean, obviously it's going to help CDL points wise if you
Yeah.
actually finish well in this event, but
Yeah. We can take a look at that actually.
because right
Um.
now the CDL points are actually pretty close.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's 310, 300 for Phase and Optic are kind of neck and neck, and I think the only reason why they're so close is because Optic they have a better series win loss, and then Phase won a major. I believe that's why it's so close. Personally. Um.
yeah,
And then we have a little bit of a jump.
because FaZe got like what? Didn't FaZe get like 40 or 50 extra CDL
Yeah.
points for winning the major?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if they didn't win that major and Optic won it, Optic would be at like 350 and FaZe would be at like 260.
Yeah. It would have solidified Optic's lead, but that's just the way it goes, I guess. Then we have Gentlemates with 240, LA Thieves with 225, Heretics with 165, and D2 165. So they're pretty neck and neck. And then
Honestly, if Heretics can keep up their performances, I would not be surprised if
they keep up.
they close the gap to the top four more and they
Yeah,
way widen the gap to the rest of the teams. Like
I think yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if by champs time, like Optic and FaZe and those guys have about 400, 450 points. But then like Heretics are sitting there at like 350. And then the closest is G2 and G2 probably has like 270, 280. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Heretics can keep up the momentum. I wouldn't be surprised if they build a good gap.
yeah, agreed. Um, I mean, if you look at it like this, uh, the bottom teams, honestly, like Surge, Breach, and Cloud9. I mean, Cloud9's out of the running. I believe, like full heartedly. There's like,
I mean, I would
it's gonna be
honestly
really
probably
hard to
put
come back.
Breach pretty close to being
Yeah,
out of the running. I don't think
I
that
think
Breach is out of it
Surge.
quite yet. Surge,
Yeah,
I think have a shot.
they
I think if
do.
they keep momentum up and they do pretty well, they have a shot. But
I
like
agree.
this, like 6th to 10th race is always fun to watch when we get around this time in
Yeah.
the season, because we're about halfway through. So it's definitely time to start looking at like maybe
Ooh.
who is or isn't going to make champs. I mean, I would say more than likely G2 is in. More than likely Koi is in.
Mhm.
Um,
I think it's
but
really
the
gonna be the
question
eighth
is,
through
what's going
12th.
to happen between like? It's really going to be, in my opinion, the way that it's gone. At least the last like, if we're looking since the end of Major One, with Surge improving and Ravens and Breach falling, it's really going to be between Surge and Falcons for
Mhm.
eighth, I think. Because I
Yeah.
think that probably by champs time, I think Surge surpass Ravens. And I think if they can keep the momentum up, and if Falcons stay rocky, it could be really close for eighth. But I do think teams like G2 and Koi are in.
Yeah.
And Cloud9 is almost, they're definitely not making it. There's no way. Uh,
No.
they would have to like win a
They
major
would have
to even
to
get close.
have a stellar
Um,
second half to this
Breach would also
season.
probably have to win a major to get close, but I don't know. Breach may not be fully out yet, but I'm like, if they don't do well by the end of Major 3, they're probably out.
Mhm. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's just like sometimes that's how it goes. And in this case that is how it goes. Um but we shall, stay tuned for the next full things. But, LA Thieves are your champs. Shout out to them
Just
for
get
doing
it
well.
done. Finally, they got
Yeah.
something done. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you would count this as a chip or not, but I mean, Neum won one.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a chip or a chat, but they won. And that's what's up. Sorry, I'm like a little
Neum is
tired.
currently the only, Neum's currently the only rookie uh, that has won an event. So
Yeah.
good for him.
Very good
I
for
mean,
him.
granted, if Thieves would have actually been good with Kenny, he would never have this position. But you know.
Sometimes that's just how the tides tumble, you know. Sometimes it's just how the tides tumble. All right, so looking forward towards the up. Okay, looking towards the qualifiers this weekend. Um, we have some okay. They're not gonna these matches on Friday are probably gonna be blowouts. Honestly, Optic versus Breach blowout.
See, dude, like that. Like I said, if Heretics can keep up the momentum, they rematch with FaZe this weekend. Like
I think that this is their this weekend. I think is Heretics weekend to prove themselves that last weekend wasn't a fluke, and to build on that
it's actually crazy
consistency.
because there are so many rematches this weekend. Because like, look, 3 in a row. Heretics, FaZe, Falcons, Surge, Koi, Optic.
Yeah,
3 in a row.
yeah.
Rematches from the minor event. Um, and then you get uh, and then I mean, those 3 matches are probably really the only bangers of the of probably of the weekend. Is those
Hmm.
3 back to back. The rest of them I think are pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Heretics and G2 might be a little bit of a tumble,
yeah,
but
Heretics and G2 will probably be good, but like
that'll probably
I'm
like be
more
like the best
watching
matches
for
Sunday.
Heretics now because I want to see like just how far Heretics can go now after they finish second at the minor. I just want to see what kind of momentum they build from
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, agreed. I think it'll kind of solidify that this weekend will either build on the momentum or absolutely kill it. Um, I don't think there really is much of an in between. Um, but
I
if
mean,
they build on the momentum,
I definitely would like be a little worried about FaZe because there have been times when FaZe has lost to when FaZe has lost pretty bad to teams so far this season, and like the very next time they
mm-hmm.
play them, they just utterly dominate. So
Yeah,
it's kind of rough that Heretics' first match back is a rematch of when they 3-0'd FaZe, but we'll see.
gotta rip that band-aid off. You know, just gotta rip it. Just gotta rip it off. So yeah. What are we at right now, time wise? I don't know. Is there really much else to talk about today? I'm scrolling quick to see. Um, Deception. Is there anything else you want to
I don't think
discuss?
so.
It's kind of the gist because we talked about the new Xbox CEO improvements last week too, so I don't think we really need to talk about that. Kind of can just say on this and then the NFL. The only thing like other happened, and it's not even esports, but just sports in general. Like a lot of the drafts have been happening for professional sports, which has been really interesting to watch. Um,
Yeah, that does
NFL,
happen around this time.
WNBA. They're really ramping up here as we get to the end of the college semester. So good luck to them that are still going on, and congrats to those that got drafted. I think actually, I want to talk about this. I think something similar would be cool for esports. In a way that's like once the esports scene is kind of matured a little bit more, um, and now that the collegiate esports scene is kind of taking off, I would love to see like some sort of like esports draft of some sorts where like
The only way it would
players from
work
college
is
get
if we had like a whole lot of teams. Like if we had like 32 CDL teams, I could see a draft working. But like anything less than probably like 24, I don't think a draft would work because
yeah
there's only 4 players on the team. And if you count like guys being on the bench or guys subbing, you probably I think that they allow for like 1 or 2 of those. But like, who wants to get drafted just to be a guy that probably is never going to play? Because in in esports, you don't get tired and you don't get exhausted, so you're not going to see people subbing out in the middle of a game.
yeah. I mean, or maybe like to like they get drafted to like the semi elite, like you know what I mean, like some sort of like bridge.
I
I
honestly, I think a draft, if well, this would like, I think this would kind of, I feel like would mess up the identity of like challengers and like amateur COD in general. But I do think it would kind of be cool if they'd make a challengers draft work, but it'd be more like a CDL thing probably. Like
yeah
like I said, if the CDL had like 32 teams, I think a draft might work.
I think if they did it like if you got drafted into the semi-professional, like uh you get drafted onto semi-professional teams, and maybe a pro team if you're like that. If you're like that. But um I don't know. It's just like it's one of those things that is probably like most likely, definitely, absolutely like at least a decade down the road still, just because esports is still so small and it's so weird to say it's small, but it's so small comparative to traditional sports in that sense. To where like something like that would be really like Deception said, you would really need like a lot of people
Well, and
to pull it
it's just
off.
so different because, like, for example, like if you look at the NBA draft, like the NBA draft is always like so successful because like teams, granted, teams only will only draft. There's like 30 teams and there's only 2 rounds, so teams will only draft like two, maybe three people if they got to trade somewhere or whatever. But it's definitely helpful, um, because obviously, like I said, in esports, people don't get tired or anything, so you're not subbing out. But in like typical sports, it's like guys are gonna get tired and they're gonna have to sub out. And if you got some rookies that are looking pretty good that end up getting playing time, it's like you got guys you could probably build your franchise around later. Um, it's just it'd be hard to make that work in esports. And like the only thing about an esports draft is I feel like an esports draft it would end up devolving into it would end up being less of a draft of like, hey, let's get some new players in here, and it would be more of like a just a glorified like a more dramatic roster mania of just like where can we just ship all these players around?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where it would be right now. I think I think there's a way to do it. I just don't know what the way to do it is. It's definitely a possibility though. I just don't.
In the CDL, you just had to have way more teams.
Yeah,
Um,
or expand in some way or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's a possibility. But anyway, thank you
I don't know
guys.
in a thing like Marvel Rivals or something. Maybe these things where it's like 6v6 or something. It might work.
Like Overwatch or
There's a
maybe
whole
even
lot more
5v5.
players, so it's like
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm gonna ponder on it and see. I'm gonna brainstorm a little bit and see what I can.
I'm just trying to think of like esports that have more than like 5 or 6 people because ideally you would want an esport that takes like having like 8 or 10 players on a team
Yeah.
because that would open up a whole lot of spots for a draft.
Mhm. So we'll see. But we're gonna call it here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Climb Together podcast. I've been your host, Tony Scorp, here with my co-host, Deception. Deception, say bye.
Fine.
Appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode. If you guys are watching live on Twitch, make sure you go and check out the full episode over on YouTube. Or go check out previous episodes there as well. They are all loaded and up to date. If you guys are watching on YouTube, we stream this live every single week at twitch.tv/Tony_Scorp and twitch.tv/Deception276. So go ahead and go over there, give us a follow, watch this live. We have some exciting news regarding the podcast coming in like a couple weeks as far as some a big change or reversion of change. So stay tuned for that. That'll announcement be coming soon. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate y'all. See you guys next time. Peace.